All right, it is tomato canning day today. What we do when we've got just too many tomatoes, we'll cut the core out, cut any bad spots out of them that we need to, and just stick them in a freezer bag and put them in the freezer. And they can sit there all winter or whatever until we get a good day to where we can just have enough time to process everything at once. So that's today. We just pulled everything out of the freezer. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 bags of frozen tomatoes. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna thaw those out. And after they've been frozen, this is what we really like about this process. After they've been frozen and then you thaw them out, the skins just slide off. Super easy, so you don't have to waste time peeling tomatoes. And then we're probably gonna freeze dry the skins. That's for a later video. Today, we're just gonna be canning a whole bunch of tomato soup. So we're gonna go run some errands while the tomatoes are thawing out, and we'll see you in a little bit. So it is time to peel the tomatoes. And what we did is we just dumped everything, all those frozen tomatoes here in the sink, and then poured hot and boiling water over them to get them thawed. And they were still frozen. The water is still a little cold right now. But once they're thawed, look how easy that skin just peels right off. Now there's still a little frozen spot there, but once they're thawed, you can just pretty much just squeeze the tomato right out of the skin. Yeah. A lot easier than peeling them beforehand, and goes so much quicker. So we'll take these skins and then we'll put them in the freeze dryer when we get everything else done. And in the meantime here, we are just peeling the tomatoes, throw them in a stock pot, and that'll be the start, the base for our soup. So when we get this done, we'll catch you for the next step. All right, so now we've got the tomatoes all peeled. They're here in the stock pot. Gonna start cooking those down a little bit. There's still some that had kind of frozen centers, so it'll take a while to get these to where they just start to boil, simmer, cook down a little bit. We're doing a quadruple batch of what we would ordinarily do, so the stock pot is full. This is the second biggest one that we have, but the biggest one we're probably going to be used for some water bath canning later today, so I wanted to keep that one clean. Chopping some onions right now, gathering the rest of the ingredients, and when it's time for that, come back, we'll add that and finish up the soup. All right, so it's time to start putting this soup together. The tomatoes have been cooking down for a while. They're just about to come to a boil. We've been cooking some onions down and some chicken broth here. So I'm gonna dump those into the stock pot and hope that there's room. This will be about as full,
oh my goodness,
as this thing allows. So we got the onions in there. We're gonna add a cup of sugar. Four teaspoons of celery salt. And remember, this is a quadruple batch, so we'll put the single batch recipe in the description below. Got 3 teaspoons pepper. And 4 tablespoons salt. Now we will give this a stir, bring it all up to a boil, let it simmer for a while, and let it cook down a little bit, let some of those juices evaporate out and just condense the flavor. And then we will, stay tuned and see you on the next step. All right, we've got the soup ready to go. It's all blended into just a nice, beautiful soup puree. We're ready to start canning. Got 3 quarts of water here in the pressure canner. Put a couple tablespoons of vinegar in there also. It helps keep the inside of the canner clean. It helps keep the glass clean. It's just easier than cleaning it up later on. Now, because tomatoes are a low acid food, we need to add a little bit of acid to it. So the easiest way of doing that is to each quart, we just put a half teaspoon of citric acid, which you can buy pretty much every grocery store you go into. Sorry, just powdered citric acid. Put a half teaspoon in the bottom of every jar. Should be able to get 7 jars in the canner here. And then we just start ladling hot soup into our jars. If I can find my ladle. These jars have been sterilized. And they are still warm. You don't want to put something this hot into a cold jar. And then we will leave 1 inch of head space, which that's the space of air at the top of the jar, which comes right to the bottom of this canning funnel. The canning funnel, you can find these at any canning supply aisle in any grocery store as well. Even most hardware stores will have them. But after we get these jars all full, we'll be able to put them in the canner. I'm actually going to turn this down a little bit so we don't boil all that water out. It smells so good. We've been making this tomato soup recipe for, I think this is the 4th year now. It's definitely our favorite. Looks a lot more like tomato soup this time. Last year we used a lot of, well, 2 years ago, we had a lot of different colored tomatoes in there, a lot of yellow tomatoes, even some green tomatoes. And it didn't come off quite as that rich, pretty red, but it still tasted delicious. Now that all the jars are full, one very important step that you do not want to leave out is to wipe the rims of your jars before you put the lid on. If there is any food residue or anything there between the jar and the seal, you're not going to get a good seal properly once it's been canned, and that's going to give way to botulism and Lord knows what else that you absolutely don't want in your food or anywhere else. So yeah, clean those jars very well. Take a lid. Sometimes they do stick together. Put a lid on your jars. And then one of the rings. On straight, screw that down and just barely finger tighten. Like when it just starts to feel tight, stop. You don't want to get it any tighter than that. The seal will take care of it. Continue the process, wash, rinse, repeat until your canner is full, and then we'll continue the process later. All right.
Wait, let me see the jars.
Oh, okay.
Ta-da! Okay, go ahead.
We get the lid on the canner. Crank that down tight. And then we're going to turn the heat up all the way to where the water is kind of already boiling in there a little bit. And out of this hole here, we're going to start having steam pretty soon. We're going to let that steam run. Once it starts coming out solid, we're going to let that steam run for at least 7 to 10 minutes to make sure that there's no more air in that pressure canner. Then we're going to put this little weight over top of that to keep that steam inside, and we're going to process this at 12 pounds, and a little dial there, 12 pounds for 75 minutes. All right, at long last, it is the next day. Now we finally finished the tomato soup canning adventure. I think we got a total of 19 quarts total of tomato soup. There were a few jars that didn't seal. Sometimes that happens. Didn't have the lid, I think, quite on there just right. Boiled over a little bit and food got in there. So that's just in the refrigerator, and we had that for dinner. Some tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches. But the rest of this here is now available for storage. Going to go over to the pantry, and you know what? We might even sell a few. So that's it. We'll see you next time with the next canning adventure from here at Upland Ranch. Bye.